let's have a difficult discussion, but an honest discussion. Let's discuss policy, politics, power, budget, debt. Let's do all these political nerdy things that we discuss often, but let's have a talk, because right now the CR, the continuing resolutions in the news, what is it? It's another 3-month extension of what, though? 3-month extension of what? Of everything we're doing now. So we can get into the insanity of that, and we will in a couple moments, but think about a home that brings in $100,000 a year, spends $250,000 a year, and the home sits down to budget, and they say, I think we're good. I actually think we don't need to cut anything. We're good to go. Let's just keep doing exactly what we're doing. That's what the United States government, that's what we're doing right now. It's what we've been doing. But we'll get to that in a moment. Let's set that aside, because I want to deal with something. Mike Johnson's been given a bunch of crap by me and others, and justifiably so, for the fact that he simply grabs his ankles every time there's any kind of a difficult negotiation. He'll hold out for a week, maybe, but then in the end, well, here he was today.
We loathe CRs as much as anyone, but this is the situation that the Senate Democrat leadership put us in. It would be political malpractice to shut the government down. I think everyone understands that.
Do you hear what he just said there? It would be political malpractice to shut the government down. So I want to have a talk about why this keeps happening, and why, at least for the future, for now, until we get off our butts and start running Republicans out in primaries, this will continue to happen. This is not about to stop. This won't be the last one. Let me just go ahead and give the game away. They're going to pass another $1 trillion plus omnibus bill about 15 minutes from now to be in December. This is going to continue without end until the Republican primary voter starts punishing these people. But besides that, we have to keep the government open. I get emails a lot from people, a lot of different emails, a lot of different themes. Sometimes you're mad at me, sometimes you love the show, sometimes you're mad about this issue or that issue or Trump or whatever, but one continuing theme, you start to pick up on themes, things that people really feel is, Jesse, why do these Republicans who sound so good when they're campaigning, why do they constantly go to Washington, D.C. and disappoint us? They're running as the outsider. I will drain the swamp. And then they get to D.C. and it's just swamp thing after swamp thing after swamp thing. So I'm going to explain this to you. And I'm explaining this from a lot of years of talking to the good people who are there, hearing their frustrations, hearing why things don't work. So here's the truth. I want you to set this aside. I've done this analogy before, but it's the best way I can explain it. So just sit with me here. I want you to picture we're in a medieval town, medieval city in Europe somewhere. Right? It's a big city. We're out in the suburbs of it. We're part of the peasants, And in the center of the city, there's this gigantic, beautiful castle. And that's where the king and all his advisors, the entire government, they live and work in this beautiful castle. Beautiful. Only they're terrible. They pass law after law. They do thing after thing that makes the lives of the people outside of the castle hard and difficult. They're bad rulers. They do terrible things. But in this city, they have elections. And inevitably, in a government like that, people will run as reformers. You see this all the time now in American politics, so you understand what this looks like. People will run on draining the swamp. We got to clear out that castle. Vote for me, and I'm going to take the castle down. That's how people would campaign. I will take on the castle. That's how you'd be campaigning. That's how I'd be campaigning. And eventually, let's say you've got the right message, you strike the wrong chord with people, you win. All right, good. So you're in your little house, you kiss your wife goodbye, pat your kids on the head the day you're supposed to go become part of the castle, and you tell them, honey, I'm going to reform things. I will save us all. But you get to the castle, and life's really good there. It's really good. You knock on the door, they open up the gates. You've never lived this life before. Gosh, they've got a red carpet out in front of you. They have 15, 20 servants ready. Hello, Mr. Kelly, thank you so much. Thank you for becoming part of the castle. We're so glad to have you here. Hey, we've prepared a special lunch, your favorite meal. And then we'll take you down to your multi-room office, 3,000 square feet. And here I am, this person from outside of power. I'm walking into the castle, and oh my gosh, look at all the gold, look at the paintings, look at the rugs. Yes, I will have an extra pizza roll. Thank you so much. I sit down and I have a staff at my beck and call. Hey, Marty, bring me a coffee. Could someone make me a Totino's pizza? Thanks. All of a sudden, Mr. Reformer Jesse doesn't want to burn down the castle quite as much once you become part of the castle. It's so nice in there, the air conditioning. And that's exactly what you see from these Republicans. Lots of them don't believe in actual reforms at all, but even the ones who do, most of them run as reformers, want the right thing, stop the insanity, drain the swamp. And then they show up at the castle doors of Washington, D.C., and it's a large staff. Yes, Mr. Johnson. Yes, Mr. Speaker of the House. How about a private jet for you? We've got your security waiting for you right outside. And all of a sudden, stopping the corrupt government that is abusing you and abusing me gets less and less and less important the longer you spend within the walls of that big, beautiful castle. So again, I will ask you, Mr. Producer, if you don't mind, to play the Mike Johnson cut again, but this time as you watch it, you're going to watch it through a different lens. You're going to see exactly what I mean. We need Mike Johnson, the GOP, we need the House of Representatives to save us from a government that is destroying our way of life. We need them to step up, be the reformers, burn down the castle, and yet, because they become part of it, they speak like this.
We loathe CRs as much as anyone, but this is the situation that the Senate Democrat leadership put us in. It would be political malpractice to shut the government down. I think everyone understands that.
Why? You know, we're all tied up and wrapped up in the presidential election. Dome, Kamala Harris versus Trump, who's up in the polls, who's going to win the White House. We're all wrapped up in that, and it is very, very important. But did you know the reason you can't afford eggs? It's not the White House. It's Congress. It's the money they spend, trillion after trillion after trillion, money pouring out the door. Honestly, tons of it going to foreign countries. We just found out another, $375 million more for Ukraine. Money for this special interest, money for this country, money for this, money for that. Congress spending money like drunken sailors faster they can actually bring it in. The GDP, the debt to GDP is at World War II levels. We are spending as if we are fighting a world war that will decide the future of the planet. Only it is peacetime. What is happening right now is the destruction of your way of life, and it is happening inside the walls of the House of Representatives. And as long as the GOP remains in love with the castle and thinks it's their job to keep the government open, well, we got to keep things going. It's our job to govern. As long as we have that mentality on the right, then honestly, it doesn't matter if Kamala Harris gets elected or Donald Trump gets elected. If Congress keeps spending $1 trillion more than they bring in every single year, your way of life will end. I'm talking about everything you know and love. As the value of your money craters because of Congress spending money, your life will get worse. Your housing will get worse. Your health care will get worse. Your food will get worse. Your children will have a lower standard of living than you, and their children after them will have a lower standard of living than they do. And all this is happening because government simply cannot stop spending. Democrats who are trying to burn the country down want the government open. As long as Republicans have this stance that they have to go along with that, then it doesn't matter who wins the White House. We are finished. Until we change the GOP, until we change the mentality of got to keep the castle doors open, we're already finished. That is what we must change. And in case you're sitting there wondering how we change that, primary elections. Politics is not voting for president once every 4 years. We have got to drop this despicable mentality. The Republican members of the House of Representatives and the United States Senate should go to sleep at night and wake up in the morning in mortal fear of you, that you are going to get involved in a primary and run them out of office, and they don't have the tiniest bit of fear of you. That's what we have to change. Talk to Steve Deace about that now, host of the great Steve Deace Show. So, Steve, we got another CR. Surprise, surprise. Of course, they're lying that, we're not going to get another omnibus, but you and I both know we're going to get another omnibus, and it just frustrates me to no end that this is the destruction of our lives, and people don't know, they don't care. It's all about Trump, Harris, and it's just everything continues apace.
The juxtaposition yesterday that occurred, I have to tell you, Jesse, is one of the most stark I've ever seen. On Tuesday, Kamala Harris said she'll end the filibuster in the U.S. Senate so that we can have demonic, state-sanctioned, ritualistic child sacrifice codified into the U.S. Code with no regulations and no restrictions at all, okay? And just a couple of hours after this, Nebraska Republicans said, we can't even be moved to reallocate one electoral college vote through the normal legislative process. And instead, we'll just make it that Kamala Harris does not have to win a single Sun Belt state to win the presidency. She doesn't have to win Arizona. She doesn't have to win North Carolina. She doesn't have to win Georgia. She doesn't have to win any of those states to win the presidency. We're going to make it easier for her to do so. And if that is not one of the most, if not the most vibrant portrait of the two parties here, then I don't know what is. And as I said to my audience on the show today, brother, this is not a sustainable coalition. I understand we have to win this election here in the next 40 days. I understand what is at stake when people who want to end the filibuster to do child-sanctioned or state-sanctioned child sacrifice systemically across the country get power. I understand that. But when this thing is over, win or lose, there needs to be, brother, a real conversation about structurally where we are on the right. This is not a sustainable coalition. It's just not, okay? If one side is willing to say, we will go to the mattresses for the most wicked policies you could possibly imagine, and the other side is like, we won't even move a single electoral college vote via a special session, then I you know, and this plays itself out. Look at Zelensky earlier this week. So if you want to know the real reason Republicans want to keep the government open, guys, it's Ukraine. That's the real reason. It's why they never offered any leverage to get Ukraine funding. Ukraine is in whom we live and breathe. All right, they're the holy grail of the governing class. That's why they want to keep the government open, to keep the Ukraine grift going. Well, how did Zelensky repay McConnell? Ukraine is the most important issue in the country. How did he repay Speaker Mike and all these people? He went to Pennsylvania, autographed some missiles, and endorsed Kamala Harris for president. It's one thing to say we have to vote Republican to put these guys in office, even if they're terrible, because they'll at least be speed bumps and things of that nature. But they're now taking the weapon out of the holster of Democrats and just pointing it right at us now and shooting and just joining into the firing line. We have to have a long conversation and sober one, Jesse, when this election is over, about the path forward. This is not a sustainable coalition. It's just not.
Well, Steve, I don't disagree with anything you just said, but what's not sustainable is vile demons crawling across a mile of broken glass naked to vote in every single election, top to bottom, presidency, school board, Democrats, 50% participation in primaries, and Republican primary voting losers, and that's exactly what they are. Can't be bothered to turn off the football game on Saturday, to go down, vote for school board, vote in a primary, vote out the incumbent. Oh, they've all got a Trump sign in the yard and a MAGA hat, and I love Trump, and they vote once every 4 years, and they think that's political involvement, while the other every other month, it seems like. We can't win like this. We have no chance. None.
I wholeheartedly agree. On the right, we treat our citizenship like it's a baby mama or baby daddy. We just impregnated somebody and just walked away. That's the full extent of our parenting. All right. So however long it takes to vote every 4 years, for whoever the latest GOP savior of the country is. That's the alpha and omega of our citizenship. Even fewer of us vote in 2 years, every 2 years in the midterm elections. Almost none of us vote in these primaries and local elections. Again, I mean, the people are the problem ultimately. And the fecklessness and listless vessel aspect of the GOP is a reflection of the people. And if I may be blunt, it's not my show to say things like this, but you did invite me on. I mean, the reality is there's not a huge market of money to be made telling our own audiences you are the problem. And that's why very few people do it, even though many more people beyond just you and I realize this. Okay. And that's where we are. And if you look at, I mean, I can just tell you what we see at the Blaze, for example. The day Nate Silver flipped his forecast to Trump, which he did for like 2 weeks, but the day that happened, most read piece by far we had on our site that day. And that the horse race stuff, these fake psyop polls, tell me that the liberal media who hates me have my guy winning and my bet's not big and that I'm pretty. Our people eat that crap up like catnip. They'll accept the dumbest stuff, like the whole brothers be flipping at the barbershop crap Fox News pulled out a few months ago because boomers are tired of being smeared as racists. Meanwhile, we're winning white married women by 4 points, which is just beyond inexcusable and why we lose elections. I mean, we are fundamentally broken on the right, just fundamentally broken, and we need to have a serious like papal enclave, Council of Nicaea level discussion about how to move forward after this, because we need Trump to win. He's also 78 years old and they keep trying to kill him. All right. So what's the actual plan here?
What's the plan here? All right. I can't let you go without asking about this piece on the Blaze about how every issue is theological. I thought it was a wonderful read. Talk about just what you were talking about.
There is no such thing as secular, and there never was. And what you see is that the American left sold this lie while the Judeo-Christian worldview had dominance in the culture. And then after it got through pecking away at that and watering it down, and it has hegemony and authority now it's coming out and being clean. Yeah, there's no such thing as being secular. And watch us now operate with the religious level of fervor and zeal. And here are two iron laws, universal truths of the universe, regardless of time, era, custom, or culture. Something will always rule. Something must always be worshipped. All right. And you're seeing that play out now. We're attempting to come up with secular slogans for moral issues. And the other side is just flat out saying we're going to kill babies to Molech and put it in the code and call it Roe v. Wade. And here's the thing I can tell you about history. I Just Want to Be Left Alone has lost in every history book ever. And whichever side believed in the most rightness of its cause wins every single war ever. Make of that what you will.
Steve Deace of the Steve Deace Show. Thank you, my brother, as always. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.